You can tell a lot about someone's future intentions by watching what they do after they've created distance. Sometimes an avoidant pulls back because they feel overwhelmed. They just need space to breathe. That's not always the end, but then there's another kind of withdrawal, the kind where they're not just taking space, they're rewriting the story in their head. They're not thinking, I'll reach out when I feel ready. They're thinking, this chapter is done, and the sign you're looking for. They start detaching from the shared world you once had. They stop showing interest in your life. They stop checking in, not even casually. It's like they're erasing the small threads that kept you connected. When an avoidant gets to that stage, they're no longer preserving the bond, they're dismantling it. You'll notice the warmth has been replaced by polite distance. The playful energy turns into transactional conversation, if any at all. And here's the thing, once they've convinced themselves that stepping away is the healthiest choice for them, they won't look back. Not because they're cold-hearted, not because they hate you, but because, in their mind, they've already closed the door, and they rarely reopen doors they've shut. That's why, instead of chasing, begging, or over-explaining, you have to recognize the moment they've mentally left the building. You reclaim your dignity, your energy, and your focus, because the truth is, if they've decided they're never coming back, the most powerful move you can make is to stop waiting for a return. Watch post with drawl behavior. It reveals their real intentions. When someone pulls away, it can feel confusing, even painful. You might wonder if they just need time, or if they're quietly ending things. That's why the period after they've created distance is so important to observe. It's not about what they say in that moment. It's about what they consistently do. If they're taking space but still check in occasionally, still respond with warmth, still show signs of wanting to be in your orbit, it may mean they're simply overwhelmed and need breathing room. But if they pull back and you start noticing a slow disappearance, that's different. If the shared moments, the little inside jokes, the mutual check-ins start vanishing without a trace, that's a signal. They're no longer keeping the connection alive. It's as if they've decided to quietly pack away everything that reminded them of you. They stop asking how your day went. They stop showing interest in your world. Even if you try to reach out, the tone feels different, polite but detached, conversational but empty. It's not about hostility. It's about the fact that, in their mind, the chapter is already closing. When this happens, you might sense a kind of emotional fade. It's not sudden, it's gradual. One day you wake up and realize they've been drifting for weeks, maybe months. That's why paying attention during this stage matters so much. The clues aren't in the big, dramatic gestures. They're in the subtle changes, the energy in their voice, the effort in their replies, the absence of curiosity about your life. When you notice that the investment is no longer mutual, you're not overthinking it. You're recognizing a shift in the foundation of the relationship, and that shift speaks louder than any words could. Not all distancing means the end. Sometimes it's just space, not goodbye. When someone you care about starts to pull away, it's easy to panic. Your mind can jump to the worst conclusions. You might assume that silence means rejection, or that less time together means they've lost interest. But the truth is, not every bit of distance is a sign of a final goodbye. Sometimes people simply need to breathe. They might be overwhelmed by life, stress, or personal challenges that have nothing to do with you. They might be processing their own emotions in private before they can fully show up again. Some people recharge in solitude. It's not about escaping the relationship, but about protecting their own energy so they can return stronger. Just because they've stepped back doesn't mean they've walked away. In many cases, the bond is still there, quietly waiting for the right moment to reconnect. You can often tell the difference by the small signs they leave behind. Even if they're quieter, they might still respond warmly when you reach out. They might still keep a thread of connection alive, even if it's not as frequent as before. They might let you know, directly or indirectly, that they just need a little time, and when that's the case, it's not abandonment, it's self-regulation. The danger comes when we misread space as rejection and start chasing out of fear. That's when the other person can feel pressured, which often pushes them even further away. Instead, the most powerful thing you can do when someone takes healthy space is to respect it. Give them the room they need without withdrawing your warmth entirely. Keep the door open, but don't drag them through it. Trust that if the connection is genuine, space won't break it, it will protect it. Sometimes the quiet period is simply the bridge between two stronger chapters, and when they come back, the bond can feel even more solid than before. Danger sign: rewriting the story when they mentally reframe the relationship as over. This is the stage most people don't see happening until it's too late. It doesn't usually start with a big argument or a dramatic announcement. It begins quietly in their mind. They start telling themselves a new version of the relationship's story. A version where the connection wasn't as deep as it once felt. A version where the challenges outweighed the joy. A version where the best thing for them is to move forward without you. Once they begin reframing the past this way, they aren't just creating distance in the present, they're dismantling the emotional bridge to the past. The happy memories that once pulled them back now become reinterpreted as signs that it was never going to work. They might start mentioning moments where they felt misunderstood, even if they never brought them up before. They might highlight differences instead of shared values. It's not about lying to themselves, it's about creating a narrative that justifies their exit. This mental rewriting is how they make peace with letting go, and once that story takes root, it's incredibly hard to reverse. You might still see them, talk to them, or interact occasionally, but the emotional tone changes. They're no longer looking for reasons to stay connected. They're looking for reasons why ending it is the right choice. You'll notice they're less open to working through problems. They stop meeting you halfway. Even conversations about the future feel vague or avoidant. It's like they've already stepped into a life where you're not part of the main picture. What makes this so dangerous is that it's invisible at first. By the time you sense the shift, they've already been editing the story in their mind for a while. They've already started replacing we with me. They've already begun preparing themselves for the final break. And once they've rewritten the story to end with them moving on, they rarely flip the ending back to a reunion. Detachment from the shared world, they stop engaging in what once connected you. Every relationship creates its own little world. It's built from inside jokes, shared routines, mutual friends, and the unique language only the two of you understand. It's not just about romance or deep conversations, it's about those everyday moments that make you feel like you're living life side by side. But when detachment begins, that world starts to shrink. The things that once sparked excitement or laughter now go unnoticed. They stop bringing up the shows you both loved watching. They don't mention the places you used to go together. Even shared hobbies or passions begin to fade from conversation. It's not that these things suddenly lost all meaning, it's that they're no longer investing in the emotional glue that kept you connected. They might stop replying to messages about those shared interests. They might respond politely, but without the spark you're used to seeing. The photos, the memories, the playful exchanges that once kept the bond alive are quietly left in the past. And the silence that replaces them feels heavier than words. This detachment is more than just being busy or distracted. It's the conscious or unconscious decision to stop nurturing the small threads that hold the relationship together. When they step away from the shared world, they're not just taking space, they're stepping out of the emotional home you built together. It's like they're slowly packing their bags, not in a physical sense, but in an emotional one. One day, you realize you're still holding onto the pieces of that world while they've already stopped showing up inside it. And the hardest part is, the more you try to pull them back into that space, the more they seem to drift away. Because in their mind, the connection no longer lives in the same place it once did. And once someone stops engaging in what made you feel like us, the bond that world created begins to disappear. No casual check in silence becomes the default. In the early days, messages flowed easily. A quick text to share a funny moment, a simple "how's your day going?" or a random voice note just to hear each other's voice. These small check-ins weren't about deep conversations. They were about keeping the thread of connection alive. But when silence takes their place, it's a sign something has shifted. It's not that they don't have time to send a message, it's that the instinct to reach out isn't there anymore. You notice the difference when you're the one initiating most, if not all, of the contact, and even when you do, the responses come slower, shorter, and with less warmth. The easy flow is gone. The natural rhythm between you starts to feel forced. You might tell yourself they're just busy, that life has gotten in the way, and sometimes that's true. But when silence becomes the new normal, it often means the relationship has slipped lower on their list of priorities. They're no longer looking for excuses to hear from you. They're not sharing the little things that once made you feel part of their daily life. The gap between conversations grows, and the longer it goes on, the more unfamiliar you start to feel to each other. What used to be constant connection now feels like occasional contact, and the problem isn't just the lack of words, it's the absence of the small, effortless gestures that remind you someone is thinking of you. When they stop sending those small signs, it's not only silence you're feeling. It's the loss of the comfort that came from knowing you were always somewhere in their thoughts. And when that comfort disappears, the space between you stops feeling like healthy breathing room and starts feeling like an emotional distance that keeps growing. And that's why, when casual check-ins fade and silence becomes the default, you have to pay attention. Not to panic, not to chase, but to recognize the reality in front of you. Because if someone stops letting you into their everyday world, you can't force your way back in. Your role is to decide how much energy you're willing to give to someone who no longer invests in the connection. Sometimes, the most self-respecting move you can make is to match their silence with your own peace and let the distance speak for itself.